I have the opportunity, the wonderful opportunity, to talk with an iconic actor, director, founder of the DC Black Repertory Company. I'm here with actor, director Robert Hooks, father of Kevin Hooks.
Right.
And we are
proud father
of Kevin Hooks, and you have every reason to be.
Absolutely.
Proud of his career and yours, and we're proud of both of you.
Good.
Thank you so much for doing this for us today.
It's my pleasure.
And we'd like to let everyone know that 2017 is the 50th anniversary of the Negro Ensemble Company, and we have the pleasure of talking to Robert about that history.
I was a struggling actor studying acting in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, okay? At a school, a drama school called the Bessie V. Hicks School of Drama. Wonderful school. Some of the famous white actors came through there. Bruce Dern is one of them. Charlie Deercop is another. But I was studying there and seeing a lot of plays because Philadelphia is a Broadway, a pre-Broadway show out town. In other words, the producers would take their plays before Broadway to test them out in places like Philadelphia, Chicago, and Boston. Okay? I was seeing all these plays as a student at Bessie V. I was seeing all these plays, all white plays. I never saw any black people on stage. When I did, they were carrying trays or doing something crazy, stereotypical. So I was tired of seeing these plays. I would go to see them because we second acted the plays. If you don't know what second acting is, it's kind of complicated, but I'll make it simple. The play opens, and I'll go down and I'll dress up like I'm going to the theater, and I'll go down and I'll wait for the first act to end. When the first act ends, in any theater company, in any theater in cities, people come out and they walk the sidewalks, they smoke, they talk about the plays, whatever. Second act starts, they go back in. Well, we would go and we would kind of mingle, and when the second act starts, we'd go in and find an empty seat. That's second acting. So I see all these plays, and I'm just so sick and tired of seeing these plays. Where are the black plays? Well, it turns out that one of the plays that came through was A Raisin in the Sun, with Sidney Poitier and Ruby Dee and Diana Sands and Lou Gossett and Ivan Dixon, Claudia McNeil, and people like that. I went to the opening of that play. I sat in tears at the end of that play. I applauded so much I broke my watch. I broke it, and it fell on the floor, and I had trouble finding it. That's how blown away I was watching this play. The curtain went up, and I saw my own house. I saw my own living room. I saw these people on stage that looked like me. I was blown away. After the play, and this is all long story short, after the play I go backstage to meet Sidney Poitier and Claudia McNeil and Ruby Dee and Diana Sands, whatever. Well, one of the actors in the play, who actually was not an actor in the play, but he was one of at the end of the play, there are two moving men that come because the family's moving to this white neighborhood and all. So two of the men were in the play, but they were understudies of the actors that were in the play. Well, Douglas Turner Ward was Sidney Poitier's understudy. When I went backstage after I was blown away seeing this play, I went back and met all the actors, and I met Douglas Turner Ward and Lonnie Elder. They both are great, great playwrights. And they said, "You've just got to leave Philadelphia. You've got to come to New York. Come to New York and get in the unemployment line, but you've got to come to New York." Because I went back and told them I was a local actor, and I was just really wish I was on that stage with them, or whatever. They liked me. They encouraged me. And I think maybe 4 or 5 months after the play left and went to Chicago and then opened on Broadway, it's a big, fantastic hit on Broadway. By that time, I moved from Philadelphia to New York. I made the move. I was afraid to make the move before that. I didn't want to be stuck with, trying to find a way. But they encouraged me if you are the actor you say you are, get your ass out of Philadelphia and move to New York. And I did. The very first play, the very first professional Broadway play that I did was A Raisin in the Sun. The very first play I saw in Philadelphia months before. That was my very first play. Then Douglas Stern Award and I became good buddies. And we went out on the national tour with Raisin. This was after I closed it on Broadway. I joined it on Broadway, and we closed on Broadway, and I did a whole year of touring with it, with Douglas Stern Award and Lonnie Elder, and Diana Sands and all the rest of the people, not Sidney. Ossie Davis. Sidney, what happened was they came out to make the movie of A Raisin. That's how I got into Raisin, because Lou Gossett was leaving to come out here to do the movie. So I went and auditioned for Lou Gossett's role and got it.
Wow, fantastic.
And got it.
Oh.
So anyway, on the road, Douglas Stern Award was writing and Lonnie Elder was writing. And we would read the plays after the show. We'd go to the hotel room and have a little scotch, and we'd read the plays to help them get their plays perfect as they could. He was writing Happy Ending and Day of Absence at the time. The funniest two plays ever written in history about blacks in the South. And if you don't believe me, get the plays and read them, and you'll be on the floor laughing at
Happy Ending.
Happy Ending, not endings, but Happy Ending and Day of Absence. Two one-act plays by Douglas Stern Award. Well, long story short, when we came back off the road, he had finished the plays and we were doing backers auditions. One of his friends, a white producer, had tried to get these plays produced. So we would do backers audition. I was playing a couple of the roles and whatever, and Doug was playing a role, and Lonnie was playing a role, Frances Foster, Diana Sands, well, they were all helping out. Well, we couldn't raise a dime to do these plays. In the meantime, I had started a theater company in my living room for young artists off the streets of New York. And this was during a time when drugs were a thing and gangs were a thing. They were trying to get kids off the streets. So I was doing Dutchman, Leroy Jones's Dutchman at the time, and I was asked to come and speak at the Chelsea Civil Rights Council. I did. I met all these kids, and I thought, come over to my house. I lived right across the street from the Chelsea, Hudson Gill is called. I lived right across the street from Hudson Gill. And so I said, look, instead of me standing out talking to you people, come on over to my house on Monday night. Monday night's an off-Broadway actor's night off. I was doing Dutchman at the time. Okay. Big hit. Big. That's why I was speaking at the Hudson Gill. Next Monday, I get all these kids in my living room. We ended up having to knock out a wall because it became a permanent thing. I got evicted eventually because you just don't knock out landlords' walls, right? So we built a stage in my living room, and that's where we started the Group Theater Workshop. Barbara Ann Tier, my dear friend Barbara Ann Tier, came in to help me get these kids off the street, and these kids wanted to be writers, they wanted to be actors, they wanted to be poets, they wanted to be dancers, but they had no way to do it if somebody doesn't give them the opportunity. So I did that in my living room on 28th Street and 10th Avenue in New York. Now, the people in the neighborhood would see all these kids coming in and out of my apartment. They went, what the hell's Robert Hooks doing over there? What's all these kids? And they were making noise, doing whatever. So I decided, and Barbara and Ann and I put this together, that we were going to do an evening, a showcase. Because by that time we had knocked these kids into shape. They were doing poetry, they were doing scenes from plays, they were doing all kinds of stuff. So by that time, we decided to do a showcase to show the neighborhood, the families, what we were doing. That, you know, I mean, this guy's not having some orgy or some craziness. He's teaching these kids how to really perform and write and do whatever. So we did this showcase. I got Edward Albee, the great writer Edward Albee, who was producing Dutchman and one of his own plays, to give me the theater on Monday night, which was dark night for off-Broadway. We put on a showcase to show the people what we were doing, and it was the biggest hit of any showcase that's ever been done. And one of the top critics, New York critics, Jerry Talmer for the New York Post, came to the... I didn't invite him. We didn't want critics. We just wanted to show the people in the neighborhood what we were doing. He came. Now, what I had done is I'd asked Douglas Turner Ward to let me do one of the plays, the first play, Happy Ending, because it was only 4 characters. Let me do this play to close out the evening of poetry, and we did Gwendolyn Brooks. We did all kinds of wonderful things for these kids. But we closed the evening out with this one-act play with 4 characters. Now, they were done by Hattie Winston, was one of the people that was in the play. She was in the workshop. And we did this play. Well, Jerry Talmer wrote the next day. Now, we didn't know that we were going to get critics in there. Jerry Talmer wrote a glowing review for the evening that Robert Hooks and this group Theater Workshop put together.
Wow, very good.
And he closed his review out by saying this play, Happy Ending, was so funny. He was on the floor laughing at this thing, right?
Right.
So now we see this review the next day, and Doug sees it, and I say, Doug, now his friend Sam Engel couldn't raise the money to do these plays. I said, Doug, let me produce these plays. I can raise the money. If we get this kind of review with kids playing the roles, can you imagine if we just had Francis Foster and all these great actors coming to do this thing? So he said, no, if Sam lets you have it, just go ahead and ask Sam. Sam was happy to give me these plays because he couldn't raise the money. So long story short, I ran into Juanita Poitier, who said, I know where you can go to raise some money for these plays. Call Clarence Avon.
Juanita Poitier.
Juanita Poitier was Sidney's ex-wife at the time.
His first wife.
His first wife,
yes.
Right. So Juanita sent me to Clarence Avon and Al Bell, who had started a company called Stax Records. Okay?
Yes.
So I went to them. They invited me to lunch at Frank's Restaurant, which is a big, big restaurant up in Harlem. I took the plays, and I went up there, and I sat down with them, and the place was packed, because it's a very famous restaurant, right? I started reading these 2 plays to Clarence and Al. The people in the restaurant were laughing, because I was performing. I was performing all the roles.
Oh my goodness.
I was
everything?
Oh yeah, everything. They stopped me midway through and they said, how much money you need to produce these plays? I said, well, you know, my budget is a very, very reasonable budget. I thought they were going to give me $5-10 grand to start. It was $35,000. That was my budget for the whole thing.
Wow.
They said, come to the office tomorrow. We got the check for you.
Oh my goodness.
That's how I raised the money to produce Happy Ending and Day of Absence. Happy Ending and Day of Absence, and the rest is history, because it became a big hit. Douglas Turner Ward became the playwright of the hour, and he took that title from Leroy Jones, because I was doing Leroy's play that made him the big playwright. Now all of a sudden I'm producing a play by Douglas Turner Ward, and Douglas Turner Ward takes Leroy Jones and pushes him aside, becoming the playwright of the day.
Sure.
Well, the play is a big hit, standing room only, the Happy Ending and Day of Absence. The New York Times, now that Douglas is now the fair-haired writer, they asked Douglas to write an article about black theater in America. Well, Douglas Turner Ward wrote an article. It's all you can get that. It's all online.
New York Times.
You can get it from New York Times. New York Times. It's called. The article was called "Theater in America for Whites Only?" with a question mark. Well, the article that he wrote was so scathing that the New York theater producers and the theater goers were blown away by this article. And when you read the article, you've got to read the article. It's fabulous.
I will.
Right? The Ford Foundation read the article. In the Ford Foundation, we would remember now we're doing Happy Ending and Day of Absence by this time. Douglas is big, and the play's a big success.
Yeah.
Ford Foundation comes down to see the plays, calls us in. Now Douglas Turner Ward and I were the guys, but we needed to have a numbers person with us.
Sure.
Now I had hired Jerry Crone to be the company manager for Happy Ending Day of Absence when I produced it.
Sure.
So he was there. He was in shop. So we invited Jerry to come have this meeting with Ford Foundation. We go to the Ford Foundation, who says, put a proposal together and tell us what you need for a black theater company of substance, of continuance. Not just a black theater company to produce a play here, a produce there. No. So that's how the training program that I had started with the with the Group Theater Workshop, that's how that came into being.
Okay.
So we put a proposal together. We sat in the Orchidia restaurant on the tablecloth in this one. It was a hangout, one of our hangouts, right down the street from the St. Mark's Playhouse.
Okay.
We laid out 3 years of performance and training and all to take this proposal to the Ford Foundation. We took that and we sat at that table and we worked it all out, and then of course we put it. There were no computers at the time.
Now the proposal at that time was not for the children; it was for the adult.
Oh yeah, it was for a theater company.
For everybody.
Oh no, it was for a theater company of continuance. The training program became a part of it, but no, this was. They asked Douglas Turner Ward to write an article about black theater in America. He wrote the article. Ford Foundation said, well, if it's so bad, I mean, let's give us a proposal and we'll help you guys. They were giving away money trying to help the communities get back together again because the kids were all over the place. But this had nothing to do with the kids. This had nothing to do with the kids. When we put that proposal together, it was a professional black theater company, but attached to it, at my insistence, and this training program that I've been working with, these kids that are in my living room, that's the training program for the Negro Ensemble Company. And indeed, we folded the Group Theater Workshop into, when we got the money from the Ford Foundation, the Group Theater Workshop became the training program for the Negro Ensemble Company.
Fantastic. That is a great backdrop.
That's the story of how the Negro Ensemble Company was founded. And it goes all the way back to where I took it to. Because if you don't know that, and you just hear, well, you got this grant from the Ford Foundation and you started the NEC. No, that's not the way it started.
You saw a need. And you saw a void in the community.
Exactly.
And you addressed that void.
Exactly.
And out of that sprang the Negro Ensemble Company.
Right. And it's a national treasure. It's a national treasure. That's what it's been called, and that's what it is.
Okay.
All the people that we talked about came through the Negro Ensemble Company before they became famous.
Who are some of those people?
Well, you got Denzel Washington, you got Samuel L. Jackson, Roscoe Lee Brown, James Earl Jones, Mary Alice, Felicia Rashad, her sister Debbie Allen, a lot of Charlie Brown, Esther Roll, Roxy Roker, Francis Foster, Michelle Shea. Let me read some of the names of the people that came through the Negro Ensemble Company and went on.
Sure.
Okay, Mary Alice, Billy, this is alphabetical. Mary Alice, Billy Allen, Debbie Allen, Ethel Ayler, Paul Benjamin, Earl Billings, Charlie Brown, Roscoe Lee Brown, Norman Bush, Adolph Caesar, L. Scott Caldwell, Edmund Cambridge, Godfrey Cambridge, Rosalind Cash, Anthony Chisholm, Robert Christian, Bill Cobb, Marilyn Coleman, Lawrence Cook, Vondi Curtis Hall, Ed DeShay, Glenda Dickerson, David Downey, Bill Duke, Judy Ann Elder, Giancarlo Esposito, Frankie Faison, Antonio Fargas, Lawrence Fishburne, Francis Foster, Al Freeman Jr., Arthur French, Israel Hicks, Richard Gant, Minnie Gentry, Danny Glover, Carl Gordon, Robert Gossett, David Allen Greer, Moses Gunn, Julius Harris, Sherman Hemsley, Famie Heggie, Israel Hicks, Kenny Holliday, Kevin Hooks, Earl Hyman, for crying out loud, Samuel L. Jackson, Sati Jamal, James McDaniel, Brent Jennings, Tracy Johns, Judy Ann Elder, Esapatha Murkison, Barbara Montgomery, Debbie Morgan, Denise Nicholas, Hattie Winston, Ron O'Neill, Roscoe Orman, Eugene Lee, Cleavon Little, Delroy Lindo, James McDaniel, Carol Maylard, Bernard Marsh, Richard Mason, Coleridge Taylor Perkinson, Roscoe Orman, Ron O'Neill. I'm almost done. And I'm not really done because these are just ones I've selected.
Sure.
Esther Roll, Roxy Roker, Richard Roundtree, Otis Salid, Gloria Schultz, Michael Schultz, Leah Scott, Sarette Scott, Michelle Shea, Dale Shields, Cotter Smith, Count Stovall, Louise Stubbs, Joyce Sylvester, Horaceina Taylor, Marie Toussaint, Glenn Turman, Elizabeth Van Dyke, Frida Vanderpool, Adam Wade, Derek Walcott, Joseph Walker, Denzel Washington, Charles Weldon, Lynn Whitfield, Billy D. Williams, Sam Art Williams, Allie Woods, and the list goes on.
Oh my goodness, you were giving us the names of all of these prolific and iconic actors, character actors, main actors, and I could just see their faces and their images that's flashing.
All came through the Negro Ensemble Company. If the Negro Ensemble Company is not there with the plays and the platform and the presentation and the PR and all that stuff, yeah, a lot of them would be successful, but not without the NEC would they be celebrating the kind of careers they're celebrating today. Look at Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington probably makes about $25 million a movie. One movie. I'm maybe exaggerating, I don't know, but it's something like that, right?
Yes, you're close.
Now, right.
Yes.
Denzel Washington came to Hollywood's attention with a soldier's play. They picked up a soldier's play, Norman Jewison, to make it into a movie.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington became a star, a big star, because of his success. Brilliant actor, a dear friend. I love him madly. But if the if the Negro Ensemble Company is not there, the soldier's play is not there.
Well, we would like to thank you for your enterprising spirit.
I'm just one of those lucky guys that was there and had a mission.
I think we are the lucky ones.
Well,
because you had a vision, Robert, for greatness. You had a vision for taking black actors and black performers and black people to the next level.
right.
You know, you exposed so much talent and so much skills, and I think we're the lucky ones. We really are.
I did it. I didn't do it for me. I didn't do it for me. I had a concept, an idea, and a mission to bring something to the black community.
Okay.
And it just happened to be in the form of theater companies, and those theater companies happen to be the platforms for a lot of talent.
Okay.
Not just actors, producers, writers, administrators, theater administrators, theater publicity people. They're all out there now, and they come from the Negro Ensemble Company.
We're with Robert Hooks, and we're going to be right back in just a minute.